Welcome everyone to today's webinar. I'm so excited to be talking about gamification with you and the benefits thereof. Let's get right into it. All right, so our presenters for today is myself, Samara Klitter, and I'm an academic consultant with Ivy Academy. And Dr. Nolan will also be presenting today, and he is actually going to go into what are the benefits of gamification, what is gamification. So he is an academic head at Ivy Academy. So thank you so much, Dr. Nolan, for joining us today. All right, so let's just quickly talk about what are we going to discuss in today's webinar. So firstly, we will dive into the gamification, what it is, and the benefits for online learning. And Dr. Nolan will be presenting this. And then we'll be talking a little bit more about Ivy Academy. Who is Ivy Academy and what do we do? And we'll also be discussing our next intake dates and what you can expect from there. And I will also bring up some of our contact details so you can give us a call, send us an email, visit our website. So feel free to do any of that. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to drop a message in the chat box and I will try my best to answer any of your questions at the end of the webinar. All right, so let's get started. All right, so let's dig into gamification and its benefits of online learning. So thank you so much, Dr. Nolan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Nolan Damon. Thank you for joining us in another unique webinar of Ivy Academy. In today's webinar, we will be discussing gamification and its benefits for online learning. The focus points of this webinar will be the definition of gamification, the benefits of gamification, and how Ivy Academy utilizes gamification in their online courses. So let's look at the definition of gamification. Gamification, according to Gardner, is about taking something that is not a game and applying game mechanics to increase user engagement, happiness, and loyalty. In short, this means that gamification takes elements from a game design and the general principles and theories which drive gameplay and applies them to other contexts, in this case learning. When we look beyond the entertainment value of a game, there are clearly defined goals and objectives, social aspects, feedback systems, and well-established incentives and rewards like badges, points, certificates, etc. Elements in game design also include the natural desire for competition or to win the game. Other elements also include reflection and repetition, where you restart a game to better your score or to move up a level. In games, there's also no winners or losers, meaning that you acquire the desired goal that you set out for yourself. Let's look at some research on games and game design. The Association of UK Interactive Entertainment estimates the global gamers audience to be between 2.2 and 2.6 billion people, and the global software market is expected to grow from 137.9 billion in 2018 to an estimated 180.1 billion by the end of 2021. Other research indicates that more than 75% of people are gamers, whereas 50% are casual gamers and the other 25% are moderate to often. So in other words, features involved with gamification are quite familiar. On the other hand, research also highlights that most learners recall 10% of what they read and 20% of what they hear. However, when visual elements like simulations or interactive content are present, an increase of 30% is visible. In a survey conducted with students, the researchers highlight that students remember 90% if they are engaged in a simulation or an interactive content. Also, more than 80% of students would be more productive if their institution's work are more game-based. Further research found that 60% of students indicated that they would be more motivated by leaderboards and increased competition amongst fellow students. Moreover, 89% would be more engaged if we had a point system, meaning obtaining points for completing activities or courses. Let's look at the benefits of gamifying online courses. Firstly, it increases learning experience. What does that mean? If a learner is having fun, the level of engagement tends to be higher, which leads to increased retention. Gamification also holds their attention and motivates them, given that they are striving to reach a goal. When learners feel positive about their learning process and know that they are going to be rewarded in some way for their efforts, then they stop becoming passive observers and turn into active participants. By doing so, they are able to effectively absorb the information and commit to a long-term memory, because knowledge itself is linked to a favorable experience you've provided through the gamification of e-learning. The second benefit is immediate feedback. Providing instant feedback lets users know what they have learned and, more importantly, what they haven't. Okay? So it highlights the gap in their knowledge. This also improves learner engagement and thus retention and recall. Another benefit of gamifying your online courses is the informal learning environment, which gamification provides. Okay? So gamification provides that informal learning environment for learners to work out real-life situations in a safe environment. This helps to increase the quality of learning experience and leads to better knowledge retention. On the other hand, it also lessens students' fear of failure. Students will constantly replay a game and not see it as failure, but as part of the fun. If a learner is having fun and getting excited about learning, then they are more likely to actually acquire information. Even a subject matter that may be dull or complicated can be absorbed more easily because learners are actually enjoying the process and are actively participating. Gamification can also bring about behavioral change. Gamification is more about points or leaderboards or badges. It can also drive increased behavioral change. When learners see the goals are being achieved, even in small steps, it motivates them to stay on track. Another benefit of gamification in learning is the natural high it can provide, as well as the impact that high has on knowledge retention. When our brains tries to reward us, it releases dopamine into our bodies, so we feel good when we win a game or complete an activity. Many people are motivated by competition, so gamification provides the opportunity for competition with others for high scores or rewards or top rankings on a leaderboard. So the motivation factor is also a benefit of gamifying your online courses. At Ivy Academy, we try to make learning informative and fun. We integrate various gamification elements to all our courses, and these include points, where learners obtain points for activities or courses completed. This feature is also linked to a leaderboard, where the learners with the highest points end up at the top of the leaderboard. We found that most learners are motivated by competition. By adding this element, we found an increase in motivation in learners. Course elements are also linked to badges, where learners receive a badge for completing a course. These badges are visible on their profile and can be downloaded. We also have a feature called the leaderboard, and this feature lists the top 10 users in a course based on their scoring in an activity. In most cases, moving up the leaderboard can increase the learner's enthusiasm and participation. We also have a feature called progress tracking, where learners' progress are tracked by various elements on our platform. So This is linked to research that we've discovered that most people feel motivated when their achievements are acknowledged, even if the achievements in question are fairly minor. By implementing a simple progress tracking module in our courses, we can allow students to track their progress and see themselves moving incrementally towards their goal. But this feature also makes learning visible. With this visibility, students can easily assess the next steps required and take stock of how far they have progressed in their learning at any given time. This also provides them with a sense of ownership towards their learning process. They feel that they are contributing towards their own learning. We also have a feature called trophies, where it depends on the amount of, or the total of points you accumulate. After that, you are provided with a trophy. Let's look at other benefits like enjoyment and how gamification boosts enjoyment. If we revisit our dopamine, the neurotransmitter that controls the part of the brain responsible for pleasure. So when we play games, this is released. Not only does it stimulate enjoyment of problem solving, but it helps build a positive attitude towards the subject that has been gamified. Gamification is also familiar. So school-aged children in 2018, even those about to complete year 12, have grown up in an era of the next generation gaming consoles, iPhones, iPads. Playing these types of games is second nature to so many students, which means that the transition to gamified education is relatively a smooth one. Gamification provides instant feedback. So gamification is a unique teaching technique because it can give you immediate feedback to students. This especially is useful as it allows the identification of weaknesses, which in turn lets teachers tailor the individual needs of different students. It can be applied outside the classroom. Gamification isn't limited to hours between 9 and 3 or 5. Parents can adopt an approach to gamify homework and studying, which not only leads to enhanced student engagement, but allows you to become more involved in your child's learning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nolan. All right, so that was very informative, and we at least have an idea now what gamification means and the benefits thereof. So as you can see, there are so many benefits for gamification, and it really does help a child learn to study, not just a child, anyone in general, to help learn. And so what Ivy Academy has done is we've taken gamification and incorporated it into our online learning. So who is Ivy Academy? So we are actually a registered Cambridge International Associates offering selected Cambridge courses online. We also offer the South African CAPS curriculum for the FET phase online. So pursuing a Cambridge education through Ivy Academy ensures and safeguards the legitimacy of your Cambridge education. So I just want to stress the importance of when a child or a student pursues a Cambridge education, it's very important to go through an institution that is a Cambridge associate or a registered Cambridge associate. And the reason why I say this is because you do need, if an online institution is not registered, they won't have the most recent syllabus. So it's not fair on a child. So this is why it's highly important. And also we offer, for the Cambridge curriculum, we offer our online courses from grade 7 all the way to grade 8. So it's the lower Cambridge, lower secondary, the Cambridge IGCSE, which is grades 10 and 11, and the Cambridge AS and A levels. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. So our learners do while they learn, which is an outcome that is endorsed by Cambridge International. And this plays again into gamification features. So once again, to produce high levels of retention in our learners, which is our main goal, and to make learning exciting, we use the gamification strategy as one of our main models of learning. And we include various online gaming techniques, as Dr. Nolan touched on, and this encourages and motivates students to engage and participate in their online schooling. So what a great way to learn, to always be excited to get to your studies and all of that. So let's quickly dig into our next intake. So as you can see, like I said, we offer Cambridge Lower Secondary, which is for grades 7 to 9. And the subjects offered at this level, it's a bit different to your normal, your traditional schooling curriculum, or should I say the South African CAPS, where they need to do 7 subjects. But this works a bit different. So the main subjects that students do, the completes, is English, mathematics, and science. Afrikaans is an option for a second language as well. So, but you need to keep in mind that each subject goes very much in depth. So science, it's not just science. Students go into the various sciences like biology, physics, chemistry, etc. It is a 2-year course, and students will get to complete the grade 9 in 2 years. So if a student joins and they're in grade 7, they get to skip a year in a sense. All right, so the next intake it's starting today, the 20th of September. So students still have this last week in September to register for the September intake. It's different. The last week you can register. The next intake is January 2022. So you can register anytime before that. We also have for the Cambridge IGCSE, which is from grade 10 to 11. The subjects we offer at that stage is English, Afrikaans, Zulu, mathematics, physics, chemistry, economics, and business studies. And the same as the Cambridge Lower Secondary, our next intake is the 20th of September, also starting today. So there is 1 more week to register for the September intake. And then afterwards, the next intake will be January 2022. For those higher grades, grade 12 and 13, which is called or referred to as the Cambridge AS and A levels, the next intake will be January 2022, and the same subjects offered as IGCSE that we offer in the IGCSE